Do I look more like a human or a god to you? Under the old pagoda tree at the village entrance, a weasel blocked my path, seeking a seal. My mouth got ahead of me. You look like my older cousin who owes me money and never pays it back. The weasel froze, then, furious, vanished into a puff of yellow smoke. I thought I was dead for sure, but the next day my cousin called, weeping, "Fan, help me. A weasel moved into my house and is forcing me to drink foot-washing water to pay back the money." My name is Chun Fan, an unemployed youth who, after 3 years of being beaten down by life in the big city until I was thoroughly seasoned, rolled back to my old home, Qingshan Village. My life motto is, as long as I lie flat enough, the scythe of capital won't be able to cut my leek roots. That afternoon, with a foxtail grass stalk dangling from my mouth, I squatted under the crooked-necked old pagoda tree at the village head, pondering a very serious philosophical question. Should I have instant noodles with sausage for dinner, or with 2 eggs? Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of rustling in the cornfield not far away. A yellowish, furry creature, like a small cannonball, shot out with a whoosh. 3 meters in front of me, it stood upright on its 2 hind legs like a human, its 2 front paws clasped behind its back like a little old man, its pair of small, black, bean-like eyes staring intently at me. It was a huangpizi, scientifically known as a weasel. In northeast China, these creatures are considered supernatural. The older generation says that a weasel that has attained sufficient spiritual cultivation will seek out a human on a full moon night for a seal, asking, "Do I look more like a human or a god to you?" If you say it looks like a god, it can ascend to heaven in one step, join the ranks of immortals, and repay you with glory and riches. If you say it looks like a human, it can also achieve spiritual enlightenment and never worry about food and drink again. But if your mouth gets ahead of you and you say something else, the consequences will be severe. At that moment, the perfectly upright weasel stared eerily at me. The air around us seemed to freeze, and even the wind died down. It opened its pointed snout and spoke in human tongue, its voice sharp and thin, like fingernails scraping glass. "Young man, do I look like a human?" My mind went blank for a moment. Holy cow, it's really happening. This was a chance to change my destiny. Glory and riches. Fancy cars and beautiful women. Villas and young models. I was so excited I almost kowtowed to it on the spot. But just as I was about to open my mouth and say, like an immortal grandpa, I looked at its face, at its restless, beady black eyes, at the clump of small whiskers growing at the corner of its mouth, making it look incredibly sleazy. Without warning, another face appeared in my mind. My older cousin, Wang Hao, the man who borrowed 30,000 yuan from me 2 years ago, and every time I asked for it back, he'd say next week, only for next week to become next week after next week, an endless cycle of next weeks. The man who drove a beat-up used BMW, dressed like a decent human being, spent 3,000 yuan on a meal for his cronies, but refused to pay back my 30,000. The man who, just the day before yesterday, looked at me with an "you're just a broke loser" expression and said, "Xiao Fan, it's not that Big Brother doesn't want to help you. It's just that you lack ambition. Giving you money would be throwing it into the water." This weasel in front of me, with its smug, self-satisfied stance and its eyes glinting with cunning, was practically cast from the same mold as my older cousin Wang Hao, especially that air of wanting to gain an advantage while simultaneously fearing a loss. It was truly a perfect resemblance in both spirit and form. A surge of wicked anger whooshed straight from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. I blurted out, my voice filled with resentment from the unpaid debt. Like a human my ass. I see you as nothing but Wang Hao, the spitting image of my deadbeat older cousin who never pays back what he owes. What now? Did you crawl out of the cornfield to pay back his debt? Or are you looking for another excuse to borrow some corn cobs from me for the winter? The moment these words left my mouth, the whole world fell silent. The air was dead silent. The weasel opposite me, its 2 small paws clasped behind its back, froze. Its small, black bean-like eyes were filled with shock, bewilderment, and immense confusion, as if asking, "Who am I? Where am I? This isn't how the script goes." It seemed to jump. My heart sank. I was finished. My mouth moved faster than my brain, and I had caused serious trouble. The elders say that this seal-seeking ritual is like a thin sheet of paper covering a window. You must speak in accordance with it. If you tear it, or say something inauspicious, its hundreds of years of cultivation will all be ruined. A weasel whose cultivation has been ruined will harbor immense resentment and will surely haunt you to death. I looked at its stunned expression, and cold sweat ran down my spine. The weasel remained in that pose, frozen for a full half-minute. Then, slowly, it lowered the paws it had clasped behind its back. The look in its eyes changed. No longer that mysterious, tense gaze, but one filled with an indescribably complex emotion. There was anger, there was grievance, but more than anything, there was the confusion of someone whose entire worldview had been overturned. It opened its mouth, and that shrill voice sounded again, but this time it carried a trace of trembling and uncertainty. Wang. How? Who is Wang Hao? How much? Does he owe you? Me? Seriously, what was happening? Wasn't this weasel spirit's focus a little off? I swallowed hard and answered tentatively. 30,000. The yellow-furred weasel nodded, a flash of understanding in its black bead eyes, immediately followed by an unprecedented, towering rage. The yellow fur on its body shot up with a swoosh, and its whole body seemed to swell. Outrageous, it shrieked, its voice piercing the clouds. 500 years of cultivation, on the very cusp of success, only to have my path to immortality shattered by a mortal named Wang Hao. This grudge, if not avenged, I vow never to become an immortal. Before the words faded, with a poof, it transformed into a puff of yellow smoke and vanished on the spot. Only a single, resentful cry was left to echo under the old locust tree for a long, long time. Chun Fan, you just wait. I'm going to find that Wang Hao right now. If I don't get back what he owes you, principal and interest, the great immortal yellow wind, will never rest. I squatted there, utterly bewildered. So, does this mean I've gained a weasel spirit debt collector? Is this a blessing in disguise? Or is this a mouse trying to make a living by cozying up to the cat, willing to risk it all? Ever since that friendly interspecies exchange with the great weasel immortal at the edge of the village that afternoon, I spent the next few days on pins and needles. I was scared. What if the weasel spirit went looking for Wang Hao, only to find that scumbag was even more cunning than it was, a smoother talker, and managed to bamboozle the weasel spirit in just a few words? If those two rascals ganged up on me, who could I even complain to? That day at noon, I was squatting in my courtyard gate, slurping a bowl of instant noodles. My second aunt, Wang Hao's mother, came charging from the village entrance, her wide hips swaying. She hadn't even arrived, but her loud voice had. Chun Fan, you little brat, get out here. The moment I heard the commotion, I knew it was trouble. I quickly slurped down the last of the broth, set the bowl aside, and wiped my mouth. Second aunt, what's the matter? Why are you so worked up? My second aunt ran up to me, planted her hands on her hips like a barrel, and started yelling right in my face. You have the nerve to ask. Let me ask you, did you piss someone off out there? They've already come looking for him. I was stunned. No, I barely leave the house. Who could I possibly offend? Bullshit. My second aunt sprayed spittle as she spoke. Last night, a thief broke into your cousin's office in the city. A thief. My heart sank. Don't tell me I thought. Already? You bet. My second aunt slapped her thigh. And it's the weirdest thing. Nothing valuable was missing from the office. The computers, the cash, not a single penny was gone. But someone pissed all over that purple clay tea set on your cousin's desk, his favorite one. Me almost burst out laughing. My second aunt shot me a glare. Laugh. You're still laughing. Your cousin spent 800 yuan on that tea set. Just ruined like that. And I left a note on the desk. It said, Wang Hao, paying your debts is the law of heaven. If you don't pay up, next time it won't just be the teapot. Suppressing my laughter, I put on an innocent face. Second aunt, you can't blame me for this. Wang Hao does business out there. Isn't it normal for him to make an enemy or two? Normal, my ass. My second aunt stomped her foot in fury. Your cousin said the handwriting was all crooked and messy, like chicken scratch. You can tell it wasn't written by a decent person. What's more, The doors and windows of his office were fine, and the security cameras didn't catch a thing. Tell me that's not weird. I thought to myself, how could it have been written by a person? That was written by a damn weasel spirit dipping its claw in spit. Of course it looks like chicken scratch. Your cousin suspects someone who knows some of that black magic is messing with him. He thought about it, and you're the only one in the family who stays in the village all day, being all weird and mysterious. It must be you. I suddenly felt more wronged than anyone in history. Second aunt, be reasonable, will you? If I had that kind of power, would I have let him owe me 30,000 yuan for 2 years without paying it back? I would have made him cough up the money a long time ago. My second aunt was speechless for a moment, but then she retorted illogically, I don't care. This is your fault, period. You go and tell those shady friends of yours to leave your cousin alone, or else I'm not done with you. With that, she walked away, still grumbling as she swayed her hips. Watching her leave, I was secretly delighted. Huang Daxian, you're the fucking best. This efficiency is even better than the court's enforcement bureau. It seems when one person attains enlightenment, even their chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. And because of my big mouth, my cousin is the one who suffers. Just as I was gleefully wondering when that bastard Wang Hao would finally pay me back, my phone rang. I picked it up. The caller ID said, Elder Cousin. I cleared my throat and answered, speaking in an extremely innocent tone. Hey, Cousin Hao, what can I do for you? On the other end, Wang Hao's voice sounded angry and frantic, laced with a hint of uncontrollable fear. Chun Fan, did you fucking hire someone to mess with me? He started cursing right away. Cousin Hao, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I play dumb. Stop fucking playing innocent. Wang Hao roared from the other end. Did you get someone to piss in the teapot in my office? Cousin Hao, watch what you say. I'm just an unemployed kid from the countryside. How would I have the connections or resources to mess with a big boss like you in the city? You, Wang Hao panted with rage. I don't care. Chun Fan, I'm warning you. If you dare pull any more of these dirty tricks, don't blame me for disregarding our family ties. I sighed and said faintly, Cousin Hao, that's rich coming from you. Speaking of disregarding family ties, weren't you the one who started it? My 30,000 yuan. 30,000 again. Wang Hao cut me off impatiently. Can you fucking talk about anything else? Fine. You win. Give me your account number. I'll transfer it right now. And after this, let's never contact each other again. Hearing this, my eyes lit up. Happiness had come so unexpectedly. Suppressing my excitement, I read out my bank account number in a trembling voice. There was a moment of silence on the other end, then the line went dead. Less than a minute later, I received a text message from my bank. Dear customer, your account ending in 8888 received a transfer of 30,000 yuan at 1732 on December 21. Current account balance, 30,052. 14 yuan. I looked at the string of numbers, counted it 3 times, and confirmed it was 30,000, not 3,000. I was so excited I almost jumped for joy right there and then. 2 years. It had been 2 whole years. My long-lost 30,000 yuan had finally come home. Huang Daxian, you're the brother I never had. Excited, I rushed out of the courtyard, ran to the old locust tree at the village entrance, and shouted at the top of my lungs, Great immortal! Huang Daxian, the money's in. You can rest now. It's enough, really, anymore, and I'm afraid Wang Hao will call the police. I yelled for a long time, but the cornfield remained silent, without a stir. I started to feel a bit uneasy. This Huang Daxian, he hasn't gotten carried away, has he? I hope he doesn't seriously hurt Wang Hao. Even though he's a bastard, he is my cousin, and blood is thicker than water. Just as I was worrying, my phone rang again. It was Wang Hao. I answered quickly. Hey, Cousin Hao, I got the money. Thanks. So, let's consider the matter between us settled, all right. On the other end of the line, Wang Hao's voice was choked with sobs, filled with a level of fear and despair I had never heard before. Chun Fan, Brother Fan, help me. I was taken aback. Cousin Hao, what's wrong now? It's here, at my house. Wang Hao's voice was trembling uncontrollably. It's in my living room right now. Hearing Wang Hao's sobbing plea, my heart sank. Shit, this has gotten out of hand. I asked quickly, Cousin Hao, calm down and tell me slowly. Who's there? Be clear. It's a yellow-furred rat. Wang Hao's voice was filled with despair. It can talk. It says its name is Great Immortal Huang Feng. And it says I disturbed its cultivation, and that I have to pay it back with interest. My scalp tingled with fear. This Huang Daxian is a little too professional, isn't he? He already got the money back. Why is he still there providing after-sales service? What did it do to you? I asked nervously. Silence came from the other end of the line, followed by Wang Hao's suppressed, humiliated sobs. It made me print out the transaction record for the 30,000 I just sent you, burn it to ashes, mix it with water, and drink it. That sounds vaguely familiar, like a scene out of some TV drama. And then, it sat down on my sofa, grabbed the remote, and now it's watching Boonie Bears. Wang Hao's voice sounded on the verge of collapse. It was watching TV and eating sunflower seeds, spitting the shells all over the floor. It even made me refill its drink. It said it likes iced Coke, and it has to have ice. An image instantly formed in my mind. A furry, yellow weasel, lounging on the sofa like a king, watching Boonie Bears while munching on sunflower seeds, with a glass of ice Coke next to it. The picture was too beautiful for me to even dare to imagine. Brother Fan. No, Big Brother Fan. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Wang Hao was sobbing, snot and tears streaming down his face. I shouldn't have refused to pay you back. I shouldn't have looked down on you. I'm begging you. Please make it leave. I am scared. It just said it wants to sleep in the same bed with me tonight and tell me all about the heart-wrenching journey of its past 500 years. Hearing this, I got anxious too. This wouldn't do. Having a yellow weasel share his bed. How could Wang Hao face the world if word got out? I quickly shouted into the phone. Brother Hao, give the phone to it. I'll talk to it. A rustling sound came from the other end, likely Wang Hao's trembling hands passing the phone over. After a moment, a high-pitched voice came through the receiver, laced with a smug, credit-seeking tone. Chen Fan, how about it? Are you satisfied with the great immortal's work? Satisfied? Satisfied? Extremely satisfied. I quickly forced a smile. Great immortal, thank you for your hard work. Now that the money is back, do you think maybe it's time to call it a day? Call it a day? The yellow great immortal's voice instantly jumped an octave. How could I? What he owed you was the principal of 30,000 yuan. But what about the frustration and the loss of face he's caused you these past 2 years? We haven't even calculated the fee for emotional distress. I was stunned. Emotional distress fee? Of course, the yellow great immortal said righteously. The great immortal just interrogated him thoroughly. In the past 2 years, he has ridiculed you in front of relatives and friends 18 times. He has spoken ill of you behind your back at least 30 times. Every time you asked for the money back, he made excuses, causing you to lose face completely. All of this must be accounted for. I silently gave the yellow great immortal a thumbs up in my heart. As expected of an immortal who has cultivated for 500 years, he kept better accounts than I did. Then how do you plan to calculate it? I asked cautiously. The great immortal has decided, the yellow great immortal announced. I will live in his house for 7 days and 7 nights, and he will serve me well. I'll leave when I'm finally satisfied. Oh no, great immortal. I panicked. He'll be terrified with you living there. What if he calls the police or finds some Taoist priest or monk to deal with you? He wouldn't dare. The yellow great immortal snorted. The great immortal has already laid down 3 rules with him. If he dares to reveal my whereabouts, I will. I will make that new 500,000 yuan contract his company just signed turn into waste paper overnight. I gasped. This yellow, great immortal even knew about Wang Hao's company's business secrets? How on earth did it manage that? All right, I'm not talking to you anymore, the yellow great immortal said impatiently. The cartoon is getting to the good part. That guy called Lagervik is just so pathetic. Hanging up now. With that, the call ended. I stood there, holding my phone, my world a mess in the wind. The situation had spiraled completely out of my control. I had only wanted to collect a debt, but now it seemed I had summoned a living ancestor. The next few days were spent in a state of constant fear. Every day, Wang Hao would call me on time to give his daily report. His voice grew more haggard and more broken with each passing day. Brother Fan. Last night, it forced me to play Fight the Landlord with it all night. I was the landlord, and it teamed up with my wife. If I lost, I had to bark like a dog. Brother Fan. For lunch today, it insisted on eating Buddha jumps over the wall. Where was I supposed to get that? I ended up ordering takeout, but it complained it wasn't authentic and scared the delivery guy into fainting. Brother Fan. It just now made me wash its feet and insisted on using milk. Said it was good for its paws. Listening to Wang Hao's tearful accusations, I felt a mix of amusement and pity. Finally, on the evening of the 5th day, when Wang Hao's call came, his voice was so hoarse it was as if his very soul had been hollowed out. Brother Fan. Brother Hao, what happened today? I've been defiled. Wang Hao's voice was filled with endless grief. My heart skipped a beat. What? What did it do to you? It just now, while I was asleep, used its tongue to lick the sole of my foot. Me? I hung up the phone, unable to hold it in any longer. I have to go into town. If this keeps up, even if Wang Hao isn't tortured to death by the yellow great immortal, he'll be driven insane. This isn't just collecting a debt anymore. This is one of the 10 great tortures of the Manchu Qing dynasty. I hitched a ride on Uncle Lee's donkey cart overnight, then transferred buses twice, only arriving the next morning at the upscale residential complex where Wang Hao lived. Standing downstairs from the building, which was decorated like a palace, I couldn't help but wonder, was I here to mediate or to add fuel to the fire? Trembling, I rang the doorbell. The door opened. It was my cousin-in-law, Wang Hao's wife, a woman who usually looked down her nose at everyone. But now, she had 2 huge dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was a mess like a bird's nest. And when she saw me, it was like seeing a long-lost relative. Tears instantly streamed down her face. Xiao Fan, you're finally here. Hurry, go see your cousin. He's not going to make it. I stepped inside and a thick, funky smell, mixed with the sour stench of old takeout containers, hit me in the face. The living room was a disaster zone. Sunflower seed husks, peanut shells, and Coke bottles were strewn everywhere. And my once arrogant and overbearing elder cousin, Wang Hao, was splayed out on the sofa like a starfish, staring blankly at the ceiling, muttering to himself. Unclean, dirty, my foot. It's no longer a pure foot. Looking at his despondent state, I felt a mix of complicated emotions. Brother Hao, I'm here. Wang Hao slowly turned his head. Seeing me, a light of desperation flared in his eyes. He struggled up from the sofa, grabbed my hand, and cried out, Brother Fan, save me. Make it leave. I'll kowtow to you. With that, he dropped to his knees with a thud. I quickly helped him up. Brother Hao, don't be like this. I'm here now, aren't I? Where is it? Where is the great immortal? My cousin-in-law pointed to the balcony and whispered, It's on the balcony, sunbathing. I followed her finger and looked. On the balcony, the yellow weasel was sprawled out on a beach chair. A small towel was draped over its belly, 2 cucumber slices were on its face, and a pair of sunglasses was perched on its paw. On the small table beside, it was a glass of orange juice with a straw. One of its hind legs was twitching rhythmically to the tune of You Are the Most Beautiful Cloud on My Horizon, playing from a nearby phone. Is this thing here to collect a debt? This looks more like a vacation in the Maldives. I took a deep breath, summoned my courage, and slowly walked towards the balcony. Great immortal, I called out tentatively. The weasel's ears twitched. It slowly removed the cucumber slices from its face, pushed up its sunglasses, and glanced at me over the top of the lenses with its small, black bean-like eyes. Yo, Chun Fan, you're here? Its tone was as casual as asking, have you eaten? Great immortal, are you settling in okay? I asked just to say something. It's all right, the weasel said, smacking its lips. It's just that the soundproofing in this apartment isn't great. I can always hear the neighbors at night, and it affects my sleep quality. Also, your cousin-in-law's cooking is pretty mediocre. She can't do anything but order takeout. Hearing this, my cousin-in-law, standing nearby, flushed red and then turned pale, but didn't dare say a word. Great immortal, you see, I began, wringing my hands and choosing my words carefully. My cousin, he knows he was wrong. The money's been returned, and he's been taught a lesson. You are magnanimous, so perhaps you could go back now. The weasel sat up, took off its sunglasses, and looked at me with a serious expression. Chun Fan, your level of awareness is lacking, it said earnestly. I'm not doing this to vent my own anger. I'm doing this for you, for all the honest people he has bullied. I am carrying out justice on behalf of heaven. I thought to myself, carrying out justice for heaven means having a dance party on someone's balcony with cucumber slices on your face? Look at him, the weasel said, pointing a paw at the devastated Wang Hao inside. He used to be so arrogant, despotic, and look down on everyone. After these few days of my careful guidance, hasn't he become humble, polite, and aware of his mistakes? I looked back at Wang Hao. He certainly wasn't arrogant anymore. He looked like he was one breath away from dropping dead on the spot. This is called ideological branding, the yellow great immortal announced smugly. I will completely reform his vile nature from its very roots. From now on, whenever he sees an honest person, he will remember the terror of me licking the soles of his feet. I was dumbfounded. This great immortal did take some advanced courses at a pyramid scheme organization. All right. I know you're here to plead for him, the weasel said, waving its paw impatiently. For your sake, I can consider ending his education early. However, I have a condition. Go on. Please tell me. I nodded hastily. The yellow weasel stood up, walked to the edge of the balcony, extended its paw, and pointed at a muscular man walking his dog downstairs. The man was easily 1.90 meters tall, with a broad back and a thick waist. His arms were thicker than my thighs. He wore a tight tank top, his body covered in sinewy muscle. The yellow weasel stared at him, its black bean-like eyes shimmering with a longing light. It even gulped. It turned back to look at me and said in a tone of extreme yearning, "When I came here, I heard the villagers say that city life is vibrant and varied. And in the few days I've been here, I've found that to be true. But I always feel something is missing." It paused, then said in a dreamlike voice, "I want to find a partner, just like that one downstairs. Weight, preferably over 300 pounds. A real hunk." I followed its gaze downwards, then looked back at its small frame, less than half a meter tall. Only one thought ran through my mind. This world has finally gone mad in a way I no longer recognize. Faced with this utterly outrageous request from the great weasel immortal, I fell into a 3-minute-long silence. You want me to find a 300-pound hunk to be a partner for a weasel? If word of this got out, how could I, Chun Fan, ever show my face in Green Mountain Village again? Even the dogs at the village entrance would have to take a detour when they saw me. Great immortal, I began, choosing my words carefully, isn't this request a little cross-species? What's wrong with cross-species? The great weasel immortal retorted with conviction. All beings are equal in the face of love. This is speciesism. I was rendered speechless by its argument. I realized that ever since this great weasel immortal started watching TV and surfing the internet a few days ago, its vocabulary and logical reasoning skills had taken a quantum leap. Now it could debate with me using sophisticated arguments and blowing things out of proportion. Great immortal, it's not that I'm discriminating against you. I try to persuade it patiently. It's mainly that human aesthetics and the aesthetics of your weasel immortal realm might have certain differences. The one you've taken a fancy to might not necessarily take a fancy to you. The great weasel immortal snorted dismissively. That's because they're mere mortals, unable to recognize a diamond in the rough. Back in my day on Changbai Mountain, this great immortal, was a renowned handsome young fellow for miles around. Countless little mink spirits and fox spirits lined up wanting to engage in dual cultivation with me, and I turned them all down. I looked at its shifty little face, which strangely resembled my cousin's, and found it absolutely impossible to connect it with the words, handsome young fellow. Besides, the great weasel immortal changed its tone. Who said anything about a real relationship? I'm just curious. I want to experience it. I finally understood. So, your esteemed self isn't looking for a partner, but for a thrill, a one-day limited couple trial experience. Looking at its black bean eyes full of curiosity, An idea flashed in my mind. I've got it. Great immortal. I slapped my thigh. Your wish is easy to grant. Oh, the great weasel immortal was intrigued. What brilliant idea do you have? You see, a real person has all sorts of flaws. A bad temper, maybe bad breath, and what if he doesn't like small animals and gives you a kick? How dangerous would that be? The great weasel immortal nodded thoughtfully. But I changed the subject again, pulling out my knockoff smartphone and opening a folder I had treasured for years. I have a perfect substitute right here. I held the phone screen in front of it. On the screen was a muscular man with a center-parted hairstyle, wearing overalls, passionately playing basketball. As he played, he was yelling, "What are you doing, I.O.?" "What is this?" the great weasel immortal asked curiously. "This," I said mysteriously, "is the electronic pet I've carefully selected for you. His name is Ikuin, and he's a master of singing, dancing, rapping, and basketball. Most importantly, he will never get angry and will always be full of passion for you. He'll do whatever you want him to do." The great weasel immortal's black bean eyes went wide, staring intently at the singing and dancing figure on the screen, its mouth slowly falling open. In this world, there exists such a perfect male? Of course, I press my advantage, and I have all sorts of other models. The domineering CEO type, the gentle puppy dog type, and even the ascetic master type. You name it, I can find it. With that, I swiped the screen a few more times, showing it the various kinds of spiritual nourishment I'd saved on my phone. The great weasel immortal was completely stunned. It snatched my phone, holding it with both paws, and watched utterly mesmerized. This one is good. That gaze is so sharp. I like it. Ooh, this one isn't bad either. These abs, TSK. You could use them as a washboard. And this, the white hair. I love white hair the most. Seeing its inexperienced look, I breathed a long sigh of relief in my heart. The crisis was, for the time being, averted. While I was lost in admiration for the man's beauty and unable to extricate itself, I hurried to the living room and pulled my still muttering cousin aside. "Brother Hal, here's our chance," I said in a low voice. "Go quickly, bring all the computers, tablets, and any device that can connect to the internet in the house over to it. Then, get the most expensive subscription and download all the TV series, movies, and variety shows you can for it." Wang Hao looked bewildered. For what? Don't ask. Just do as I say. I urged him. This is your only chance. Corrode it with spiritual opium. Break it down. Let it get addicted to mindless entertainment and forget the real reason it came to your house. Although Wang Hao didn't understand, he now saw me as his only lifeline and immediately scrambled to do as I said. Half an hour later, on the balcony, a row of electronic devices was placed in front of Huang Daxian. A tablet on the left was playing a palace intrigue drama. A laptop on the right was showing a boy band competition, and it was holding a phone itself, watching cheesy romantic short videos, laughing so hard it was bent over and shaking uncontrollably. Wang Hao and my cousin-in-law, like two eunuchs serving the Empress Dowager, were peeling oranges for it and massaging its paws. I watched this harmonious scene, my contribution hidden and my name unknown. "Daxian," I walked over and cleared my throat. "What do you think of these spiritual companions I've found for you? Are you satisfied?" "Satisfied? Very satisfied," Huang Daxian said without looking up. "Chen Fan, you kid. You have a future. When I get back, I'll be sure to sing your praises to my peers." "Then, when will you be going back?" I cautiously asked the most crucial question. The paw Huang Daxian was using to swipe its phone paused. It raised its head, a hint of cunning flashing in its eyes as it looked at me. "No rush," it said. "I just started a bargain on an app called Bink 60. As soon as I succeed and get that 100 yuan, I'll leave immediately." I looked at the progress bar on its phone screen, forever stuck at 99. 99%, and my heart sank. It's over. Now it might never leave. In the days that followed, a strange tranquility fell over Wang Hao's house. Huang Daxian was completely hooked. Its daily life consisted of moving from the beach chair on the balcony to the sofa in the living room, and from the sofa to the large bed in the bedroom. It was always surrounded by three things: electronic devices, snacks, and the at their beck and call Wang Hao couple. It binged dramas until it was dizzy screamed with excitement watching talent shows, and giggled foolishly while scrolling through short videos. It even learned to shop online. On the first day, it bought itself a set of pink pajamas. On the second day, it bought Wang Hao a green hat and forced him to wear it. On the third day, it spent a fortune to order a life-sized AI Kuan body pillow online. Wang Hao went from initial fear and breakdown to, slowly, numbness. His daily tasks now were to charge Huang Daxian's various devices, clean up its leftover snack wrappers, and help it find people everywhere to slash the price on Bink 60. His entire demeanor changed, from a greasy nouveau riche to a haggard, submissive, old nanny. I saw that things couldn't go on like this. Huang Daxian was treating Wang Hao's home as a free nursing home. I had to think of a way to send it away. One day, on the pretext of bringing Huang Daxian some local specialties from our hometown, I visited Wang Hao's house again. When I arrived, Huang Daxian was sitting cross-legged on the sofa, staring intently at its phone, its two paws tapping rapidly on the screen. Daxian, busy? I leaned in. Sure, don't be noisy. Huang Daxian didn't look up. I'm in a team fight. The Angela on the other team is so annoying. Wang Hao, come protect me. Wang Hao, wearing the green hat, floated out of the kitchen like a ghost, still holding a spatula. Coming, Your Immortal Highness. What are your orders? Porme a cappuccino. No milk, no sugar. Iced. Wang Hao. I sighed, looking at this scene of master-servant devotion. I pulled Huang Daxian aside and said earnestly, Daxian, look, you've been in the city for so many days now. You've experienced this dazzling world. Shouldn't you also consider your spiritual cultivation? Cultivation? Huang Daxian paused for a moment, then waved its paw. No ruse. How can cultivation be as fun as binging dramas? Let me tell you, I've been binging this TV show called Empresses in the Palace recently, and the way the consorts in it talk is just hilarious. I'm already on episode 10. With that, it cleared its throat, put on a pinched voice, and said in a theatrical, sing-song tone, Chun Fan, this one has noticed that your brow has been dark and your complexion poor of late. You must be short on money, are you not? If you're tight on funds, you need only tell this one. Why must you bear it all alone? After all, we are brothers. It would not do to see you in such a sorry state. I got goosebumps all over. It was over. Not only had this Huang Daxian been corrupted by the internet, but it had also been poisoned by palace intrigue dramas. Great immortal, you can't go on like this. I said, my heart aching. Have you forgotten your original aspiration? You were determined to become a true immortal. If you keep losing yourself in such trivial pursuits, your Taoist heart will become unstable. Taoist heart, Huang Daxian said dismissively. Can a Taoist heart be eaten? Can it get me skins in King of Glory? Can it help me slash a price on an online deal? I felt like I was about to be driven mad by it. Just as I was at my wit's end, Huang Daxian suddenly let out a sound of surprise. It shoved the phone in my face, pointing at an ad link on the screen. Chun Fan, look, what is this metaverse thing? I leaned over to look. It was a rather crudely made advertisement. Shocking. The metaverse concept has arrived. Experience a second life without leaving your home. Now, introducing virtual ancestor worship, connecting the realms of yin and yang with a single click, allowing you to reunite online with your deceased relatives. Below the ad was a line of small text. New users who register will receive a complimentary luxury virtual grave plot, complete with gold ingots, a paper villa, and beautiful servant girls. The moment I saw it, I knew it was a scam. But Huang Daxian's eyes were shining. Online reunion? A virtual grave plot? This is so magical. As if it had discovered a new continent, its two paws began tapping frantically on the screen. Soon, it had registered an account. The system prompted it to enter the names and ancestral hometown of the ancestors it wished to worship. Huang Daxian thought for a moment, then typed out a few crooked words with its paw. The Huang family, Changbai Mountain, all the old ancestors. It tapped confirm. The next second, a 3D model of cemetery popped up on the phone screen. The tombstone was engraved with the tomb of the Huang clan's ancestors. In front of the tombstone were all sorts of virtual offerings. Gold ingots were piled as high as a mountain, and next to them stood two virtual, bikini-clad servant girls, striking seductive poses. Huang Daxian's jaw dropped. My God, are mortals these days so creative with their fun? It excitedly swiped back and forth across the screen, experiencing this so-called virtual ancestor worship. It tapped the offer incense button, and 3 wisps of virtual green smoke drifted up on the screen. It tapped the burn paper money button, and the pile of gold ingots burst into flames with a whoosh. The special effects couldn't have cost more than 50 cents. It was having the time of its life when it suddenly seemed to notice something. It zoomed in on the screen, then zoomed in again. Its movements froze. It pointed to a small, inconspicuous dirt mound next to the virtual grave, its voice trembling slightly. Chun Fan. You come look. Is this your family's ancestral grave? My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly leaned in. Beside the lavish virtual tomb of the Huang family, there was indeed a solitary little dirt mound with a wooden plaque stuck in it, on which was written, Green Mountain Village, Chun Family Ancestral Grave. Me? What the hell? I just saw my family's ancestral grave in a knockoff metaverse ad. At that moment, Huang Daxian and I, 2 beings from different species and different worlds, were confronted with a deeply cyberpunk philosophical problem. Why would my family's virtual ancestral grave appear next to Huang Daxian's virtual family tomb, looking like some kind of illegal add-on? What the hell is going on? I was completely dumbfounded. Huang Daxian was also baffled. It held the phone, turning it over and over. This can't be right. This isn't right, it muttered to itself. The app said the grave plots are all randomly assigned. How could it be such a coincidence? A glint of wisdom flashed in its small eyes, then it slapped its paw down, having a sudden epiphany. I understand now. What? I asked hurriedly. It's fate. Huang Daxian's expression became incredibly solemn. Its voice took on a profound and mysterious tone. This is a sign from the heavens. A sign of what? It's a sign that our 2 families share a profound connection. Our bond has transcended the mortal realm and extends into the netherworld. This is a bond that spans life and death. I was completely stunned as I listened. As expected of a great immortal who has cultivated for 500 years, his reading comprehension is on another level. He can interpret a simple bug in a crappy app as heaven's will and a fateful bond. Chun Fan. The great immortal Huang suddenly turned his head, looking at me with unprecedented solemnity in his eyes. He took a deep breath and said something that left me petrified on the spot. I think we should become sworn brothers. Me, huh? Look, the great immortal Huang began to lay it all out for me. You and I met when we were nobodies. Although it started with a bit of a misunderstanding. It's as they say, we wouldn't have known each other if we hadn't fought. I helped you collect a debt, and you opened the door to a new world for me. And now, even our ancestral graves are neighbors in the metaverse. What does this all mean? It means we are fated to be brothers. The more he spoke, the more excited he became, his yellow fur trembling. There's no time like the present. Let's do it today. We 2 shall burn incense, pray, and swear an oath to the heavens to become brothers of a different surname. We won't ask to be born on the same day, of the same month, of the same year, but we will ask to binge watch the same show on the same day, of the same month, of the same year. I looked into his sincere, black bean-like eyes, and for a moment, I didn't know what to say. Becoming sworn brothers with a yellow weasel? How does this sound even more ridiculous than him looking for a 300-pound hunk as a companion? Beside me, Wang Hao and my cousin-in-law had already shrunk into a corner, too scared to make a sound. In their eyes, I was probably no longer human, but some kind of demigod who could hobnob with demons and monsters. What? You're not willing? Seeing my prolonged silence, the great immortal Huang's eyes narrowed slightly. Are you looking down on me? No, absolutely not. My survival instinct went into overdrive, and I quickly waved my hands. I'm just a little overwhelmed with excitement. To become sworn brothers with a great immortal like you. It's a blessing Chun Fan has earned over 3 lifetimes. My mind raced. Sworn brothers it is. Once we do this, he'll be my big brother. What kind of big brother lives at his little brother's cousin's house day in and day out, and even licks the soles of his little brother's cousin's feet? That's completely unreasonable, no matter how you look at it. As long as our relationship is upgraded, I can logically persuade him to return to his old home in the Changbai Mountains. At this thought, I steel my resolve, bent my knees, and fell to the ground with a thud. Great immortal above, please accept this little brother's bow. Seeing me so cooperative, the great immortal Huang nodded in satisfaction. He also stood up on his hind legs and, mimicking what he'd seen in TV dramas, cupped his front paws together and bowed to me. Good brother, big brother, I cried, tears streaming down my face. Second brother. The great immortal Huang's eyes also welled up with tears. Just as the atmosphere reached its peak, a thought suddenly popped into my head. Big brother. I looked up and asked with a sincere expression, since we're becoming sworn brothers, shouldn't we establish seniority? But of course, the great immortal Huang said, as if it were obvious. Look at you. You've cultivated for 500 years. You are of high prestige and command great respect, and you've seen the world. I began to flatter him wildly. For you to be my big brother, you are more than qualified. That makes sense. The great immortal Huang stroked his whiskers, looking pleased. So, I revealed my true intentions at last. Big brother, don't you think? You should also act the part of a big brother. The great immortal Huang was taken aback. What do you mean? What I mean is, I mustered my courage and pointed at Wang Hao, who was sprawled on the sofa. You can't keep living at my good-for-nothing cousin's place, can you? If word got out, people would think that I, Chun Fan, am unfilial, letting my own sworn brother wander destitute and live in the house of a deadbeat who owes me money. Think of how much face you would lose. Hearing this, the great immortal Huang fell into deep thought. His small eyes darted around. He felt that what I said seemed to make a bit of sense. He was Chun Fan's big brother now. To keep freeloading at Wang Hao's place was indeed a bit beneath him. Besides, I continued to press my advantage. Big brother, think about it. You're addicted to the internet now. What if one day, your old rivals from the Changbai Mountains, like some black bear spirit or Siberian tiger spirit, also learn to go online? What would they think if they saw you binge-watching shows and haggling for discounts here every day? They'd say, well, if it isn't the once mighty great immortal yellow wind, how has he fallen so low? Wouldn't your lifelong reputation be ruined in an instant? My words, like a great bell, struck a deep chord in the great immortal Huang's heart. He shot to his feet, his gaze turning sharp. Right, you're absolutely right. He slapped his paw down. A true man cannot be addicted to the mere internet. I, the great immortal yellow wind, have ambitions that reach the heavens. How could I bow down for a mere shopping app? He turned around and looked at Wang Hao, his eyes filled with disdain. Wang Hao, here, immortal lord. Oh no, big bro, what are your orders? Wang Hao scrambled over. Pack my things. In a tone that brooked no argument, the great immortal Huang commanded. Pack up all the spoils of my online shopping from the past few days. And those power banks, charge them all up for me. He paused, then added, also, give me the largest suitcase you can find. I am returning to the mountain. Hearing that the great immortal Huang was finally leaving, Wang Hao and his wife were moved to tears of joy and were ready to set off firecrackers on the spot to celebrate. With an unprecedented level of efficiency, the two of them began to pack the great immortal's luggage. That life-sized Icon body pillow, because it wouldn't fit in the suitcase, was stubbornly tied to the outside of the case with rope by Wang Hao, like a general heading into battle with a standard on his back. As for the great immortal Huang, he paced back and forth in the room with his paws behind his back like a leader inspecting work, conducting his final handover. Wang Hao. He walked up to Wang Hao and said earnestly, after I leave, you must learn your lesson and turn over a new leaf. Remember, leave some leeway in your dealings with others, so you can meet again on good terms. You can't just bully people because they're honest. Yes, your lordship's lesson is well received. Wang Hao nodded like a pecking chicken. And you, the great immortal Huang, walked over to the cousin-in-law. As a woman, you can't just order takeout every day. You should put more thought into your family, learn how to cook. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Understand? The cousin-in-law also nodded quickly. Understood. Thank you for your guidance, great immortal. The great immortal Huang turned around in satisfaction and finally came to me. He looked at me, his eyes filled with the care and reluctance of a big brother for his little brother. Second brother, big brother's return to the mountain this time is firstly to continue my cultivation, and secondly, to escape the hustle and bustle of the online world for a while. You must take care of yourself in the future. Big brother, rest assured, I patted my chest. I will definitely be a good person and not bring shame to your name. The great immortal Huang nodded. Then, as if remembering something, he fumbled in the pocket of his pink pajamas and pulled out a small object wrapped in red cloth. Second brother, we've been brothers for a while, and big brother doesn't have anything good to give you. He stuffed the small cloth bundle into my hand. This is a little something I've refined through many years of cultivation. Keep it close to you. If you have any minor illnesses or disasters in the future, or encounter anything unclean, it will keep you safe. I took the cloth bundle, flattered, and opened it to find a tuft of yellow fur, curly and emitting a rather indescribable musky odor. Big brother, this is my protective fur, the great immortal Huang said with a proud face. It is the most essential part of my body, warm in the winter and cool in the summer. It attracts good fortune and wards off evil. At critical moments, it can even be used as a compass. I was speechless. Although I really wanted to roast it, seeing its sincere eyes, I still solemnly put the tuft of fur into my pocket. All right, the luggage is almost packed. The great immortal Huang glanced at the suitcase that was tied up like a dumpling. It's getting late. I should be on my way. He walked to the door, turned around, and took one last look at this place where he had fought and lived for more than 10 days, a hint of nostalgia actually appearing in his eyes. Wang Hao, I'm leaving. Treat my second brother well from now on. If I find out you're bullying him again. He narrowed his eyes, the threat unmistakable. I wouldn't dare. From now on, Chun Fan is my own brother. Wang Hao quickly pledged his loyalty. Only then did the great immortal Huang nod in satisfaction, then said to me, Second brother, see me off. I nodded and helped him drag the suitcase, which was bigger than he was, out the door. Standing in the elevator, the atmosphere was a bit silent. Big brother, will you still go online after you go back this time? I asked, trying to make small talk. Of course. Why wouldn't I? The great immortal Huang said righteously. I had your cousin-in-law prepare 3 fully charged power banks for me, enough to last me until Changbai Mountain. I also joined their community's owner group. If there's any fresh gossip in the future, I can still get the tea in the group. I was speechless again. Downstairs, I helped him move the suitcase to the side of the road. Big brother, I'll see you off to here. The great immortal Huang nodded. He looked at the bustling street and suddenly sighed. Second brother, to be honest, big brother is a little reluctant to leave this dazzling world. Then, why don't you stay a few more days? I offered politely. Forget it. He waved his paw. A land of comfort is a hero's tomb. I, the great immortal Huang Feng, cannot become degenerate. However, his tone changed, and he pointed a paw at a nearby supermarket. Before I go buy me some more things. So, big brother, what'll it be? Just give me that one. The one with the red lid, with the crunchy bits, the brand called Wujiang. He smacked his lips, a look of fond remembrance on his face. That stuff is seriously good with rice. Give me a whole case. Me? In the end, as I watched him go, the yellow weasel immortal, my newly acknowledged big brother, majestically, boarded a bus heading to the train station, dragging a huge suitcase with an Ikoan pillow tied to it, a whole case of Wujiang pickled mustard greens clutched in his other paw. When he got on, he even swiped the bus card Wang Hao had given him, just like a real person. The look the driver gave him was the same one you'd give a lunatic. Watching the bus disappear into the distance, I let out a long sigh of relief. This cross-species farce, sparked by a 30,000 yuan debt, had finally come to a close. Having sent off that living ancestor, the yellow weasel immortal, I felt like the entire world had become peaceful and quiet. To thank me for my life-saving grace, Wang Hao insisted on stuffing a bank card into my hand, saying it had 20,000 yuan in it as compensation for my emotional distress. I feigned refusal for 3 seconds, then accepted it with a clear conscience. Are you kidding me? This was what I deserved. After the mental shocks I'd endured these past few days, 20,000 was practically a bargain. With a fresh 50,000 yuan in my pocket, I returned to Green Mountain Village that very day, feeling like I was walking on air. The first thing I did when I got home was take out that tuft of protective fur the yellow weasel immortal had given me. The tuft was wrapped in a red cloth, and keeping it in my pocket, I always felt a faint, yet undeniable, musky odor tickling my nose. I placed it on the table, looking at it from every angle, but couldn't see anything special about it. Warm in winter, cool in summer, brings good fortune and avoids disaster, and can even be used as a compass. I pursed my lips, my face a mask of disbelief. This thing couldn't be that the yellow weasel immortal just plucked a random tuft of fur from his body to fool me before he left, right? As I was pondering this, the village's loudspeaker crackled to life. Attention! Attention! There will be a movie screening in the village committee courtyard at 7 o'clock tonight. We will be showing Tunnel Warfare. Villagers, please bring your own stools and arrive on time. I repeat. Hearing this, my spirits lifted. An open-air movie in the village was a rare form of entertainment. That evening, I pocketed a bag of sunflower seeds and ambled over to the village committee courtyard. The courtyard was already swarming with people. A white cloth was hung between two trees, with an old projector set up in front of it. I found a corner to sit down in, cracking seeds while I watched the movie. Halfway through the film, I got a craving for a smoke. I reached into my pocket for a cigarette, but came up empty. Damn it, I forgot to bring them. Just as I was getting annoyed, I suddenly remembered the tuft of yellow fur in my pocket. As if possessed, I took it out. In the faint light from a movie, the tuft of yellow fur looked glossy and rather stiff. An incredibly bold and reckless idea popped into my head. Could this thing be used as a match? No sooner said than done. I picked up a dry blade of grass from the ground, placed the tuft of yellow fur on it, and then, imitating the act of drilling wood to make fire, I rubbed it vigorously between my hands. I rubbed for what felt like an eternity until my hands were red, but not a single spark appeared. Damn it, it really is a fake. I cursed and casually tossed the tuft onto the ground. Just then, in the movie, the Japanese soldiers were pumping poison gas into the tunnels. With a loud boom, thick smoke billowed from the tunnel entrance. At almost the exact same moment, the tuft of yellow fur I had thrown on the ground went poof, and also emitted a puff of yellow smoke. The smoke wasn't choking. On the contrary, it carried a strange fragrance, a bit like sandalwood, and a bit like roasted chicken wings. The yellow smoke curled upwards and quickly dissipated into the air. I was stunned. Holy crap, it actually lit up? I hurriedly picked up the tuft of fur and pocketed it as if it were a treasure. It seemed the yellow weasel immortal hadn't lied to me. This thing really was a treasure. After the movie ended, I walked home, giddy with excitement. As I passed Widow Wong's house at the west end of the village, her big black dog, which usually barked at everyone and was as fierce as if it wanted to eat people, saw me. Today, not only did it not bark, but it let out a whimper, tucked its tail between its legs, and scrambled back into its kennel, its fur standing on end, trembling like a leaf in the wind. A thought struck me. I touched the yellow fur in my pocket. It seemed this was what avoiding disaster meant. If even the fiercest dog in the village was afraid of me, couldn't I pretty much do whatever I wanted around here from now on? I was giddy with delight. When I got home, I placed the tuft of yellow fur on the table as an offering and even lit 3 cigarettes for it as a sign of respect. I figured, since this thing was so magical, shouldn't I try to develop its other functions? For example, that compass function. Holding the tuft of fur, I walked around the room in several circles. And what do you know, it actually reacted. No matter how I turned it, the tip of that tuft of fur always pointed in one direction, to the east end of the village, toward my family's ancestral grave. Me? Fine, this function doesn't seem all that useful. As I was studying it, I suddenly heard a noise in the courtyard. I walked to the window and saw a shadowy figure furtively climbing over my courtyard wall and slipping inside. It was the village hooligan, nicknamed Three Hands. He had a habit of pilfering and petty theft. It looked like he was after the 50,000 yuan I had just gotten. I sneered inwardly. Heaven has a path, but you refuse to walk it. Hell has no gate, yet you barge right in. Today, I'll let you witness the true power of the great immortal's hair. Clutching the tuft of yellow fur, I took a deep breath and quietly opened the door. Under the moonlight, I watched the shadow picking my lock, a mysterious smile playing on my lips. I decided to give him a nasty surprise. I held the tuft of fur to my lips and, with all my might, blew. I expected a puff of divine smoke or a flash of golden light to scare the thief into wetting his pants on the spot. The result: nothing happened. The tuft of fur just fluttered lightly from my hand. It traced a graceful parabola through the air, and then, with pinpoint accuracy, it landed in the open-lidded manure tank in the courtyard. Plop! A soft sound. Both I and the thief picking the lock froze. The entire world once again fell into a dead silence. In that instant, my heart, along with that tuft of fur, sank to the bottom of the manure tank. It was over. My greatest reliance, my capital for running rampant in the village, my 50,000 yuan spiritual totem, was gone just like that. Its fragrance faded, its jade shattered. The lock-picking three hands also heard the noise. He turned his head, saw me standing in the doorway, and froze for a moment before a ferocious expression appeared on his face. Chun Fan, you're not fucking asleep. He pulled a switchblade from his pocket, flicked it open with a click, and pointed it at me. Perfect. Saves me the trouble of looking for you inside. Hand over all the money you brought back from the city. Otherwise, I'm going to put a new hole in you today. Under the moonlight, the blade gleamed with a cold light. A chill went through my heart. If I still had the tuft of fur, I might have stood a chance against him. But now, I was just an ordinary, unarmed village youth. I swallowed hard and forced myself to stay calm. Brother San, let's talk this over. We're from the same village. There's no need for knives. Cut the fucking crap. Three hands advanced on me step by step. I'll count to 3. 1. My mind raced. What should I do? Shout for help? Too late. Fight him? With my scrawny build, one stab would be all it took. Just in the nick of time, I suddenly remembered the yellow, great immortal. I remembered its pretentious, mysterious demeanor. I remembered its twisted theory of mental imprinting. A crazy idea formed in my mind. That's it. If you can't beat them, join them. If I can't beat you physically, I'll destroy you mentally. 2. Three hands was already in front of me, the tip of his knife almost touching my chest. Wait, I suddenly shouted. My voice was so full of vigor that it made Three Hands pause, stunned. I straightened my back, mimicking the yellow, great immortal, and looked at him with an expression of worldly wise, compassionate pity. Zhang Lao San. I began slowly, my voice not loud, but carrying a strange, penetrating quality. Do you know why you're destined to be a petty thief for your entire life? Three Hands was baffled by my question. Because your vision is too small. I said, heartbroken. What is money? Money is a worldly possession. You can't bring it with you at birth, and you can't take it with you in death. So what if you rob me of this 50,000 yuan today? Will it make you rich? Will you reach the pinnacle of life? No, you will only sink deeper. You will stray further and further down the path of crime. Three Hands, holding the knife, stared at me in confusion, as if looking at an idiot. What? What the hell are you talking about? Are you possessed? I'm not possessed. I've had an epiphany. I took a step forward, ignoring his sharp knife, my gaze burning into his eyes. Zhang Lao-san, look at me, and then look at yourself. We are both at the very bottom of this village's society. We're looked down upon, we're laughed at, but we cannot look down on ourselves. My voice grew more and more passionate, filled with a contagious energy. Don't you want to change your destiny? Don't you want to make all those who look down on you kneel before you and call you third master? Don't you want to possess this boundless wealth, overwhelming wealth, and honor? Three fingers subconsciously repeated, a trace of confusion and longing flashing in his eyes. That's right. I slapped my chest. Work with me. I, Chun Fan, am no longer the same Chun Fan as before. I have received guidance from an immortal. I have mastered the code to wealth. A mere 50,000 yuan, I don't even bat an eye at it. As long as you put down the knife and take me as your master from now on, I guarantee you'll live a life of luxury. I'll make you the richest man in Qingshan village. I don't know where I got the courage to spout such nonsense. Maybe I was possessed by the weasel immortal, or maybe I was forced into a corner. Three Fingers looked at me, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. He looked at the knife in his hand, then at my face, full of persuasive power. Perhaps my acting tonight was too good, or perhaps the words, overwhelming wealth and honor, were too tempting. He hesitated. Just then, a sudden change occurred. The large manure vat in the courtyard suddenly began to bubble, gurgle, gurgle. Immediately after, a golden light shot up into the sky. The golden light was not dazzling, but rather soft, carrying a rich, savory aroma. In the golden light, a furry figure slowly rose. It was that clump of yellow fur that had fallen in. No, it was no longer just a clump of fur. In the golden light, it unfurled, transforming into a golden talisman. The talisman moved without any wind, floating in front of me, and then smack, it stuck to my forehead. A warm current instantly surged through my entire body, and some strange information appeared in my mind. Secret art of the weasel immortal. Initial deciphering ability 1, glib tongue. Effect. The words you speak will naturally have a 30% credibility. The effect is doubled on beings with an IQ below 80. Ability 2, filth manipulation. Effect. You can have rudimentary control over all filth within a 10-meter radius. Me. Before I could react to this sudden turn of events, Three Fingers on the other side had already knelt down with a thud. The switchblade in his hand also fell to the ground. He looked at the glittering, dung-dripping talisman on my forehead, his whole body trembling, his eyes filled with fear and adoration. Immortal. He kowtowed like a pestle pounding garlic, his voice choked with tears. Immortal. I was wrong. I was blind and failed to recognize greatness. I beg the immortal to accept me as a disciple. I am willing to be your beast of burden. I looked down at Three Fingers kneeling before me. I then felt the warm, smelly talisman on my forehead. I suddenly understood. That clump of fur wasn't drowned in the manure vat. It was undergoing a tribulation. It had absorbed the entire vat of the essence of heaven and earth, completing its ultimate evolution from a single hair to a magical treasure. I took a deep breath, fighting back the excitement and the urge to vomit. I slowly raised my hand and said to Three Fingers in a profound and mysterious tone, "Rise. From this day forward, you are my first disciple. This overwhelming wealth and honor, it's finally my turn." I looked at Zhang Laosan, who was kneeling on the ground, incessantly calling me immortal, immortal, and felt the glittering, long-lasting talisman on my forehead, and fell in a deep thought. Chun Fan, a jobless youth who had returned to my hometown to lie flat, now seemed to have an official post, although this post sounds a bit smelly. Rise. I mimicked the masters in the movies, raising my hand with an air of nonchalance. Only then did Zhang Laosan stand up, trembling, looking at me as if I were a living god, full of reverence. Master, what you just did was, this is a heavenly secret that cannot be revealed, I said pretentiously, while frantically complaining in my heart. How the hell would I know what that was? I can't possibly tell you that this is the fur of my family's weasel immortal, which, after soaking in a manure pit for a night, gains sentience, can I? I cleared my throat and decided to immediately begin the first step of my richest man development plan, establishing my authority. Laosan, I patted his shoulder. Since you have already taken me as your master, from now on, you must give up your old bad habits of pilfering and stealing, and follow your master to do great things. Yes, master. Zhang Laosan's face was flushed with excitement. Master, then what? What great things are we going to do? Good question. I like to know too. I can't really take him to rob a bank, can I? This glib tongue ability of mine won't work on an ATM. My eyes darted around, and I had an idea. Our enterprise is about taking from the people and using it for the people. I paced around the courtyard with my hands behind my back. In our village, whose family is the richest? The village chief's family. Without a second thought, Zhang Laosan answered. Fool! I glared at him. The village chief is serving the people. His money belongs to the public. Can we touch it? Then, then what about the big pig farmer at the east end of the village? Old Jacques Launer? Tasteless. I shook my head and said in a tone of compassionate pity, what we're going to do isn't some Robin Hood scheme of robbing the rich to give to the poor. We're going to purify hearts and uphold justice. Jean Lao San was completely bewildered, his face a perfect picture of I don't understand, but it sounds awesome. I led him out of the house, full of vigor and bravado. Our first target, godly woman Lu at the west end of the village. This godly woman Lu was our village's famous great immortal, said to be able to predict the future and even speak with the dead. Usually, if someone's ox went missing or a child got a fright, they would go to her. Of course, I didn't believe a word of it. Her whole act was just preying on the villagers' lack of education and superstitious nature, using feudalistic tricks to swindle money. Before, I didn't have the power to do anything. But now, with the Grand Duke of Dung talisman on my forehead, who was I afraid of? Today, I would represent science. Oh no, represent the true immortal realm, to expose her fraud. Jean Laosan and I arrived at godly woman Lu's house. Her house was a rather large, tile-roofed building, with a bagua mirror hanging by the door, giving it a mysterious air. I had Jean Laosan wait at the door while I pushed it open and went in myself. Incense was burning inside, filling the room with smoke. Godly woman Lu was sitting cross-legged on the Kong bed with her eyes closed, muttering incantations. When she saw me enter, she didn't even lift an eyelid, saying in a strange, theatrical tone, "Young man, what brings you here?" Godly woman Lu, I got straight to the point. I've come to compare professional notes with you. Godly woman Lu's eyes snapped open, two sharp glints shooting towards me. Compare notes? You. She looked me up and down, a contemptuous smile spreading across her face. What kind of thing are you? You think you're worthy of talking business with me? I just smiled without saying a word. I simply focused my mind and activated my brand new ability, filth manipulation. The next second, in the corner of godly woman Lu's courtyard, the outhouse used for a toilet, suddenly let out a loud gurgle. Immediately after, the outhouse lid was thrown open with a bang. An indescribable substance, a concentration of the essence of heaven and earth, rose from the pit like an awakened dragon. It swirled and coalesced in the air, finally forming a yellowish-brown giant palm. That palm blotted out the sky, carrying an earth-shattering odor as it hovered precisely over the roof of godly woman Lu's house. Inside, godly woman Lu's expression changed in an instant. The contempt and arrogance on her face instantly turned to shock and terror. She could feel how pure that aura was, how suffocating. Who in the world are you?" she stammered, pointing a trembling finger at me. I gave a slight smile, and the talisman on my forehead flashed with golden light. "Me? I'm here to show you what professionalism looks like. Charging into battle from an outhouse pit. An amateur like you is bound to have some stinking habits." Faced with the giant palm composed of indescribable matter hovering over her roof, godly woman Lu completely broke down. Her petty tricks of playing God and Ghost were mere child's play in the face of a divine power that could be described as a biochemical attack. "Great immortal! Spare me, great immortal!" She scrambled and fell off the Kong bed, dropping to her knees before me with a thud and kowtowing like a pestle pounding garlic. "This old woman was blind and failed to recognize your greatness. I have offended you, great immortal. I beg you to retract your divine power. If this continues, my house will be marinated in this flavor for the next 3 years." I nodded with satisfaction. Teachable. With a thought, the giant palm above the roof circled reluctantly twice, then with a swoosh, it retracted back into the outhouse pit. The lid slammed shut with a slap. The whole process was as smooth as flowing water, without a single excess drop falling. I was very pleased with my control over this ability. Godly woman Lu collapsed on the floor, gasping for breath as if she had just been pulled from the water, drenched in a cold sweat. "Great immortal, what were your instructions?" "Nothing much." I stood with my hands behind my back, mimicking the tone of a great master. "I simply saw that your worldly ties are not yet severed. Your obsessions run too deep, and I came to enlighten you. From this day on, You are forbidden from using those low-life tricks to cheat the villagers of their money, I commanded. Yes, 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 I wouldn't dare. I'll never dare again, godly woman Lu said with a tearful face. However, my tone shifted. Your skills shouldn't go to waste. How about this? From now on, you'll work for me. Huh? Granny Lu was stunned. What, huh? I shot her a glare. What? Not happy about it. Happy. Happy. 10,000 times happy. Granny Lu quickly declared her stance. I nodded, only then revealing my grand plan. From now on, you're still Granny Lu the spirit medium, but your business needs to transform and upgrade. Before, you were in feudal superstition. Now, you need to get into psychological counseling and folk performance. What? Psychological counseling? Granny Lu looked completely bewildered. It means when people have troubles in their hearts, you're responsible for resolving them. For example, if a couple is fighting, you go and mediate. If a child is misbehaving, you go and educate them. Remember, you must use scientific methods, present facts, and use reason. No more talk of ghosts and gods. Then, what about folk performance? That's simple. I pointed to the bunch of colorful cloth strips and bells hanging on her wall. Aren't you skilled at deity summoning dances? Immortal Master, that's also fake, Granny Lu said, embarrassed. I know it's fake, I said irritably. From now on, it's not called deity summoning dance. It's called prayer for health and wellness fitness dance. Every day after dinner, you'll lead the uncles and aunties of the village to dance in the village committee courtyard. The music must be cheerful. The moves must be unrestrained. The slogans must be loud. Strive to get our village's square dancing team up and running within 3 months. At the end of the year, we'll go to the town competition and bring back an award. Granny Lu was dumbfounded, her mouth agape enough to fit an egg. She called it deity summoning dance. I called it the square dance reserve team. Wasn't this business transformation a bit too drastic? I ignored her shock and continued to arrange the work. All that ill-gotten wealth you scammed before, hand it all over tomorrow to serve as our team's startup capital. Also, change that spirit medium hotline sign of yours to Green Mountain Village Elderly Activity Center Psychological Counseling Office. From now on, you'll be on duty every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, specifically to solve the villagers' psychological problems. Got it. Got it. Granny Lu answered weakly. I walked out of Granny Lu's house, satisfied. At the door, Zhang III greeted me with a look of pure admiration. Master, you're incredible. With just a few words, you've subdued this old spirit medium. How did you do it? I gave a profound smile and patted his shoulder. Third Zhang, remember this. What you use to fight magic isn't necessarily magic. It could also be what? Chemical fertilizer. With Zhang III and Granny Lu as my right and left-hand assistants, my richest man plan officially set sail. Zhang III was appointed by me as the marketing manager, responsible for discovering potential clients in the village. For instance, a household with a bad mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship, a child who failed an exam, a husband whose secret stash of cash was discovered. These all fell within our business scope. Granny Lu was the technical director, responsible for the actual psychological counseling and square dance instruction. And I, as the founder and CEO, was responsible for overseeing the whole operation and setting the development strategy. Our business launched with exceptional smoothness. On the very first day, we successfully mediated a domestic dispute between Big Mouth Lee from the east end of the village and his wife. The cause was that Big Mouth Lee had secretly sold 2 of their chickens to get money for playing mahjong. Granny Lu stepped in and performed a newly choreographed, quit gambling and return home health dance for Big Mouth Lee. The dance left him so dazzled and dizzy that he confessed his mistake on the spot and handed over the private cash hidden in a shoe insole. Big Mouth Lee's wife was eternally grateful and insisted on stuffing 2 large carp into our hands as payment. I righteously refused. Then I turned my head to Zhang III and said, write it down. Market price, 50 per fish, 100 total. We'll settle up at the end of the month. The reputation of our Green Mountain Village Psychological Counseling Co., Ltd., echoed throughout the village overnight. Our business was a hit. In just half a month, Our team had practically taken over all of Green Mountain Village's difficult and complicated cases. If the family in the east lost a dog, we were responsible for finding it. If the water pipe in the west was leaking, we were responsible for fixing it. Even when the toilet at the village entrance got clogged, they had to ask me, the great manure true lord, to personally come and clear it with the power of my mind. I had virtually become the village's underground chief, my prestige growing day by day. When the villagers saw me, they all had to respectfully call out, Master Chun. We made a good amount of money, too. Although I said I was serving the people, after every service, the villagers would voluntarily send over various tokens of gratitude. Some sent money, some sent rice, and some even sent their own old hens. My courtyard was turning into a farmer's market. This day, I was sitting with one leg crossed over the other, sipping the chrysanthemum tea brewed by godly woman Lu, while listening to old Sanjiang's work report. Master, our total income last week was about 3,200 yuan. Among them, the business of mediating family disputes accounted for the largest proportion, reaching 40%. The business of finding lost pets ranked second. I nodded repeatedly as I listened. If things continue to develop at this pace, becoming the richest man, not just in Green Mountain Village, but in the entire town, would be just around the corner. Just as I was fantasizing about the bright future, a villager ran in a great hurry. Master Chun, not good. Something has happened. What's the panic? I put down my teacup, displeased. Has the sky fallen? It's more serious than the sky falling, the villager said, panting. Next door's Lower River Village. There's also a Master Chun. I was stunned. What do you mean? That is, someone is imitating you, the villager said anxiously. That person also claims to be a deity descended to the mortal world, and he also uses that kind of smelly divine power. Now, the people of Lower River Village all believe in him and don't come to us anymore. He's stealing our business. I shot up to my feet with a whoosh. This is outrageous. In broad daylight, under the clear sky, someone dares to create a pirated version and counterfeit my divine power? This is a blatant infringement of my great feces, true lord, intellectual property rights. How dare he? I flew into a rage. Old San, godly woman, gather the men. Follow me to Lower River Village. I want to see who is so blind as to dare to challenge the mighty and show off their trivial skills in front of an expert. With one command, I led my motley crew and marched mightily towards Lower River Village. Lower River Village was not far from our village, just over a mountain. When we arrived, the counterfeit Master Chun was performing a ritual on the village's grain sunning ground. He was wearing cheap casual clothes similar to mine, and a talisman drawn on yellow paper was pretentiously stuck to his forehead. A row of villagers knelt before him, and he was jumping up and down with a peachwood sword in his hand, muttering incantations. Heavenly spirits, earthly spirits, let the Supreme Lord Laozi quickly show his power. When I saw his posture, I almost burst out laughing. So unprofessional. Even his movements were poorly imitated. He was clearly a half-baked amateur. I cleared my throat, pushed through the crowd, and walked in. Hey, you imposter! I pointed at him and shouted. That Master Chun was startled. When he turned and saw me, a flash of panic crossed his eyes. Oh, who are you? Who am I? I sneered. I am your ancestor. Let me tell you, someone imitating my face, that's fine. But someone imitating my feces, that is absolutely not allowed. As soon as I said this, the villagers present were all dumbfounded. The imposter's face turned red and then pale. You, what nonsense are you talking about? I am a heavenly master from Dragon and Tiger Mountain who has descended to the mortal world. What are you to dare to speak so presumptuously here? He shouted, his voice fierce but his heart weak. A heavenly master from Dragon and Tiger Mountain? I crossed my arms and circled him. Looking at your darkened glabella and your weak, floating presence, you look more like you just got off work from some foot massage parlor. He trembled with anger. All right, stop pretending. I waved my hand. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Didn't you say you're a heavenly master descended to the mortal world? Then show me a thing or two. If you really have the skills, I, Chun Fan, will kowtow and apologize to you on the spot. If you don't have the skills, I paused, a wicked smile playing on my lips. Then today, I will let you taste what is called the authentic flavor. The imposter was cornered by me, cold sweat dripping from his forehead. He gritted his teeth as if he had made a great resolution. He suddenly took out a small porcelain bottle from his bosom, opened the lid, and flung its contents towards the sky. A cloud of yellow powder drifted in the air. "Wind, come," he shouted. As a result, the air was calm, and nothing happened. The scene was extremely awkward for a moment. His face flushed, and he took out another yellow paper talisman from his bosom, lit it, and threw it on the ground. Fire rise. The yellow paper talisman burned for a moment before being extinguished by a small gust of wind from who knows where. The looks in the eyes of the villagers present had already changed from admiration to suspicion. "See," I spread my hands. "This is the master you believe in. He can't even light a fire, and you expect him to bless you with wealth." The imposter couldn't keep up his pretense any longer. Humiliated and enraged, he grabbed a hoe from the ground and charged at me. "I'll fight you." "Master, be careful." Old Sanjong and godly woman Lu cried out in alarm, about to come and help. I waved my hand, signaling for them to back down. Watching the imposter charge at me, I remained unhurried, merely closing my eyes slightly. Then, I activated my supernatural power. This time, I didn't summon the contents of the latrine pit. That would be too degrading. To deal with such a minor character, there was no need for my ace troops. What I controlled was, from all the farmland in Lower River Village, that which was used as fertilizer. Chicken manure, duck manure, cow manure, pig manure. The next second, the entire Lower River Village trembled. Countless streams of fertilizer, of various colors and fragrant aromas, shot up from the fields. They converged in the air, forming a multicolored manure dragon. The dragon thrashed its head and tail, vivid and lifelike, exuding an ecological, organic, and purely natural pastoral aura. Everyone stared, dumbfounded, including the imposter who was charging at me, hoe in hand. He looked up, mouth agape, and the hoe in his hand fell to the ground with a clang. Roar! The manure dragon let out an earth-shattering roar. Then, with a flick of its tail, it swooped down towards the imposter. When the eco-friendly organic dragon, composed of the recycled essence of grains, submerged the imposter, the entire Lower River Village erupted. The villagers were first shocked, then terrified, and finally, filled with an unparalleled sense of worship. The way they looked at me was no longer as if they were looking at a master, but at a walking god of agriculture, a deity. This is a true deity. This power, it's so down to earth, so useful. Does this mean we won't have to fertilize our own field from now on? Master, take us in. We in Lower River Village also wish to be bathed in your divine light. The villagers dropped to their knees with a series of thuds, a scene countless times more spectacular than when the imposter was performing his ritual earlier. As for the imposter, who had been baptized by the dragon, he was now thoroughly questioning his existence. He slumped on the ground, reeking of nature, his eyes vacant, muttering endlessly, "Fake. It's all fake. So farming is the most promising career after all." I walked over and looked down at him. "Do you submit?" "I submit. I submit," he answered weakly. Only later did I find out that this kid wasn't some celestial master from Dragon Tiger Mountain at all. He was just a hairstylist who couldn't make it in the city with the stage name Tony. He had returned to his hometown a while back and heard about my glorious deeds, thought it was a business opportunity, and so he started a knockoff version, mimicking my style. Unfortunately, he only copied my form, not my flavor. In the spirit of learning from past mistakes to avoid future ones, and curing the sickness to save the patient, I didn't completely crush him. I made him return all the money he had scammed from the villagers, and then I arranged a new job for him. The chief hairstyle consultant for the Lower River Village branch of our Green Mountain Village Psychological Counseling Co. He would also concurrently manage the cleaning and maintenance of all the company's latrines. In my words, this is called getting up from where you fell, and while you're at it, sweep the floor clean. Having won over Lower River Village, my reputation and business scope expanded unprecedentedly. Villagers from all the surrounding areas came, drawn by my fame. My business also expanded from the initial family mediation and plaza dance instruction to multiple fields such as farmland fertilization, fish pond oxygenation, and insomnia treatment. My team also grew stronger and stronger. Old Zhang III became my general manager, in charge of finance and personnel. Granny Lu the medium became the chief trainer, responsible for training new psychological counselors. And teacher Tony, with his fiery golden eyes that could distinguish whether yesterday's meal was leeks or enoki mushrooms from pile of dung, became our company's chief quality officer. I felt the time was ripe. I could no longer be satisfied with this small workshop-style operation. I wanted to establish a company, a formal, legal, and high-end company. I spent 1,000 yuan to have an agent in town register my company. I had long since decided on the full name of the company: Green Mountain Village Spiritual Civilization Construction and Intangible Cultural Heritage Development Co. They abbreviated as GMSICHT. Business scope: psychological counseling, domestic services, organization of cultural and entertainment activities, agricultural technology promotion, and environmental protection technology research and development. The company's opening ceremony was quite grand. Villagers from all around came. The village chief personally cut the ribbon, and even the town mayor sent his secretary with a flower basket. To my greatest surprise, my elder cousin Wang Hao, who had been tormented to the point of being unrecognizable, also came. Not only did he come, but he also brought a generous gift: a check for 500,000. Mr. Fan, he had to use honorifics when he saw me now. This is a small token of my appreciation. Consider it an investment. If the company needs anything in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. I don't have much else, but I know a few people in construction. I looked at his terrified face and felt a wave of emotion. Once upon a time, he was a great old one in my eyes. Now, he had become the first angel investor for my company's development. The world changes so quickly. I took the check and patted his shoulder. Brother Hal, you've got a bright future. From now on, all the toilet renovation projects for the company are yours. Wang Hao was so moved that tears welled up in his eyes. Thank you, Mr. Fan. Thank you, Mr. Fan. The first thing I did after establishing the company was to apply for intangible cultural heritage status for the talisman on my forehead. The reason for the application was, this talisman is the sole carrier of our village's unique millennium-old natural energy conversion and application technology, possessing extremely high historical, cultural, and environmental value. When the leader from the town's cultural station came to inspect, I gave him a live demonstration of unclogging a toilet with my mind. The leader was stunned on the spot and, with a wave of his pen, approved it. From then on, I, Chun Fan, became a nationally certified inheritor of intangible cultural heritage. I had a glass frame custom-made, took the talisman off my forehead, and displayed it in the most prominent position in my office. Next to it hung a brocade banner with 8 large characters. Heaven rewards the diligent. Fortune favors the bold. Once the company was on the right track, my life changed dramatically. I was no longer the salted fish youth squatting at the village entrance, pondering whether to add an egg to my instant noodles at night. I was now Mr. Chun, an inheritor of intangible cultural heritage and the most famous young entrepreneur for miles around. With the first sum of money I earned, I renovated our old family house and bought a second-hand Wuling Hong Wong, spraying our company logo and the slogan, Green Essence, Great Taste, on its body. Old Zhang III completely bid farewell to his past. Now, dressed in a suit and looking dapper, he carried a briefcase and went door to door discussing collaborations every day. Granny Lu the medium became a renowned plaza dance godmother in the area. The Green Mountain Village Phoenix Legend Dance Troupe. She won the championship in the middle-aged and elderly category of the county-wide competition. Teacher Tony was also shining in his position. The organic mixed fertilizer he developed was said to make cucumbers grow as thick as winter melons and had already received orders from several agricultural science academies. Everything was thriving. The only thing that I was slightly concerned about was my big brother, Huang Daxian, who was cultivating far away on Changbai Mountain. Ever since he left with a box of pickled mustard greens, there had been no news of him. I wondered how he was doing on the mountain. Without Wi-Fi, without palace intrigue dramas, Without his icon, would he feel lonely? Did he ever succeed in that Pinduoduo bargain? That evening, after finishing the company's accounts, I had a rare moment of leisure and sat in the courtyard, staring blankly at the moon. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was a video call request from a strange account with a profile picture of a weasel wearing sunglasses. My heart skipped a beat, and I answered the call. A familiar, sleazy face appeared on the screen. It was Huang Daxian. However, his current appearance was vastly different from my impression. He was no longer the stay-at-home immortal in pajamas. He was in what looked like a cave, but the cave was decorated quite modernly. There was a green screen hanging behind him, a fill light set up in front, a microphone on the table before him, and he was wearing a headset. Second brother, Huang Daxian, was overjoyed to see me. See this? Big brother is a man of business now. Big brother, what? What are you doing? I asked, completely bewildered by his professional setup. Live streaming. Huang Daxian slapped his chest proudly. I'm now the only contracted spirit beast streamer for the Dolu platform in the Changbai mountain region. I have over 800,000 followers. Me? Was the world developing so fast that I couldn't keep up anymore? Look, Huang Daxian turned the camera to show me the table next to him. The table was covered with all sorts of things. Ginseng, Ganoderma, deer antlers, and a pile of other precious medicinal herbs I couldn't name. See these? These are all local specialties from our Changbai mountain. Huang Daxian's tone was exactly like those live-selling hosts. Family, in Huang Daxian's live stream room today, everything is at a rock-bottom price. This 800-year-old mountain ginseng sells for 88,000 outside, but today in my live stream, it's not 88,000, not 8,800, but only 998. For 998, you can't go wrong, you can't be cheated. He spoke with flying spittle, full of passion. I stared at him dumbfounded. How a man can change in just a few days. My big brother had already evolved from a web-addicted youth corrupted by the internet into an e-commerce influencer who cashed in on his followers. How about it, second brother? Huang Daxian seemed a bit tired after streaming for a while. He leaned into the camera to show off to me. Big brother is amazing, right? Amazing. Truly amazing. My admiration was sincere. Right. Huang Daxian seemed to remember something. I was looking for you today for a serious matter. Please speak, big brother. Recently, I've been seeing videos from your company online. Huang Daxian's expression turned a little serious. That intangible cultural heritage of yours is not bad. Especially that eco-friendly organic dragon. The creativity is excellent. You flatter me, big brother. But Huang Daxian's tone shifted. I've noticed that your product line is too narrow. How much can you earn by relying on services alone? To grow bigger and stronger, you must have your own core product. He paused, then said in a tone that suggested, I'll show you the way. I've recently partnered with a few old pals from the mountain to develop a new product. He mysteriously pulled out an exquisite glass bottle from under the table. Inside the bottle was a golden, viscous liquid. This is Changbai Mountain Spirit Beast Essence Compound Fertilizer, Huang Daxian announced with a proud face. It's a collection of the essence of excrement from 108 kinds of spirit beasts in our mountain. Use it, and I guarantee the corn in your village will grow as tall as utility poles. I looked at the shimmering golden liquid, then thought about the simple and unadorned organic fertilizers from my own company. I suddenly felt my vision was still too small. At the end of the video, Huang Daxian cleared his throat and said to me, Second brother, how about this? For the sake of our brotherhood, I'll make you the national general distributor. Let's build this brand together, online and offline. From now on, I'll handle the live streaming sales, and you'll be in charge of offline promotion. With us brothers joining forces, we can definitely create a flavorful business empire. I hung up the video call and stared at the moon in the sky, speechless for a long time. It was as if I could already see, in the not-so-distant future, my big brother and I, one in the villages of the south, the other in the mountain forests of the north, jointly building an organic fertilizer trust that straddled the worlds of humans and demons. I smiled. Who would have thought that my life, Chun Fan's life, would become so full of mixed feelings, yet so magnificent and turbulent, all because of one cheeky request for a title? I stood up and stretched. Life, it seems, is quite interesting too. I picked up my phone and sent a message to Huang Daxian. Big brother, send me the link for the live stream sale. I'll take 10 tons to start, just to test the effect.